All right, so the message of the day today is your past is not a prison to stay locked in, but a school to be able to learn from. And once you start to reframe what your past is to you, you will be a lot more better off. There's a lot of people in the world today that have a race to be the biggest victim. They are always kind of talking about the stuff that happened to them. And we all probably know someone like that. We all probably know someone who just continues to say that they can't do X, Y, Z because of whatever happened to them in the past. And it's the same old story. At some point, we need to accept it. We need to move on, learn from it, and evolve past it and figure out, okay, where do I go from here to improve? Where do I go from here? What can I learn from this experience in my life to allow me to get through a potential barrier or something coming up in the future, right? And it's super important. And I'm sure everyone can probably agree with me when they see it all around them. There's so many people out there that are just victims. Who's the biggest victim? But then on the same token, there's probably some people out there that feel like they don't have a sob story to go and be successful. My wife and I actually joke about it all the time. We'll watch America's Got Talent, and I had to stop watching it because it was almost like every single time someone had a skill, they came out with a story and they were a singer and they were like, oh my goodness, I have 3 glass lungs that can explode at any time, right? And it just like takes away from the actual talent itself. It's like, okay, what are we rewarding here? Are we rewarding someone who actually has a good skill set, or are we rewarding someone who is a massive victim? And yes, it's terrible that happened to them. It's terrible that they have to go through that. But at the end of the day, the sooner that you learn to live with stuff like that, the better off that you're going to be. Right? At the end of the day, the world does not care as much as you think they do. There's going to be bad stuff that happens to everyone. Everyone has their own shit going on, and you can still be like, you can still make it regardless of that, right? Like if you want something in your life, but you have something going on in your life or something that happened to you that traumatized you in the past, you are letting that have too much power over you and holding you back, right? So instead, let's take a different frame of it. Let's take a different look at it. And let's say, what can I learn from going through this? What can I learn? How can I convert that into a superpower? How can I convert that into something that can benefit me going forward in the future to achieve my goals, right? And then another thing is too, is like in the past, you need to use what you have. You need to use what kind of motivation you have. In the beginning, it might be angst, it might be anger, you might have a chip on your shoulder to go prove someone wrong, but after a certain period of time, that's not going to motivate you the same way as it is in the beginning, right? Tom Brady didn't play 23 years just to, stick it to the man and say, man, all these teams that pass on me. At a certain point, he needed to move on, and he was now playing for greatness. He was actually playing to solidify and edge himself in history, right? So a lot of people don't understand the differences in motivation that they're going to need at every stage of the game. So it's important to be aware. It's important to pay attention to things that are going to move you forward and progress you forward. Lean into those and use them as necessary. And then also, don't be afraid to reflect. So many people just don't even reflect on their time. Some of the top performers in the world, they reflect every day. They reflect every week. Right? And they look back and say, okay, what did I get out of today? How can I move forward tomorrow? The top people that are maxing out every day, they're looking at every hour and they're reflecting every hour and saying, okay, what did I just accomplish in the last 60 minutes and how can I be better for the next 60 minutes? Because the learning curve and the turnaround time for something like that is so much more effective, right? If 2 people are competing against one another and one person course corrects every 60 minutes to stay back on track, to get focused, pays attention to where they're at, versus someone every day, that person can be far off the beaten path by the time they actually realize that they're doing something wrong or wasting their time, energy, and effort. Now, let's look at the amount of people in the world today. 90% of people who aren't even looking at their month. They aren't even looking back at their month and saying, oh my gosh, like I needed to do X, Y, Z, right? And they didn't accomplish that. So it's very easy to get ahead. You just shorten that curve and it only takes 5 minutes. I try my hardest to prescribe to the 55 minutes on, 5 minutes off rule, because one, that allows me to have kind of a break. And then 2, I actually pay attention to say, okay, what did I get done this last hour? And what do I need to look forward to this next hour and accomplish? Like what's on my calendar? What do I need to do? How is this going to go? Right? Because now you're always staying focused. It helps you stay on track with what your goals are. It's very easy to get lost in doing something, get distracted, to get on your phone, play on social media. You can even look at that, right? Look at the time that you spent on social media for the last hour scrolling, not chasing your goals and not doing anything that serves you or feeds your mind, and you'll be blown away. And you just cut that out and you just start paying attention to a little bit more about what it is that you're doing every single hour, or at least every single day. You will be so much further ahead. Everyone looks at it over the course of a year. The majority of people look at it over the course of 12 months and they say, okay, over this last year, this is what I made for money. These are how my relationships are. This is what I did for fitness. Then they'll set up goals and then they'll fall off January 20 something or January 7th, whatever it is, because they aren't able to keep themselves committed. They aren't able to stay focused on what it is that they're trying to accomplish, right? So the shorter of a timeline that you give yourself, the easier it is to stay on track. You're just stacking a bunch of sprints and you're focusing on, okay, 1 hour at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 hour at a time, right? And you also should document it. You also should track what it is that you're doing. For me, I have a spreadsheet that tracks every single aspect of my life that I want to have be effective. And I have things of what time I wake up, how my macros were for the day, how my workout was. Did I post on social media? Did I post into our school community? All that stuff. How is my relationship with my wife? I ask her every night how our relationship was out of a scale of 1 to 10. That way I know, okay, where do I focus? What can I do? How my relationship was with my daughter. Was I focused during that time, or was I distracted playing on my phone, or was I actually enjoying those moments? Because what a lot of people don't realize is our life is made up of just moments, and it's a small percentage, right? When you look at the bigger picture, you're like, okay, like 1 or 2 hours a day, I get to spend with my kids. I get to hang out and do whatever it is that they want. A lot of people during those times are mindlessly doing other stuff. They aren't actively engaging in that. And they think that they're going to have a lot more time. They think that they're going to have another week. They think that they're going to have another month. They think that they're going to have another year, right? It's not always the case. So again, I say it every single day, stack the brick for today because that's all you're guaranteed, and then focus on another brick tomorrow. Because what you're doing is you're compounding and you're actually living in the present and doing things that you enjoy and focusing on the things that you need to do to also set yourself up for a better tomorrow. So take some of those tips away. If you want any feedback, any guidance on things that you want to add to your life or pay attention to in your life, let me know. Make sure you subscribe to this video, check it out, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.